A bill to amend the Rent Restriction Act is expected to be tabled in Parliament by the end of this fiscal year. Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Pernell Charles Jr. says the third draft bill has been reviewed. Minister Charles says the amendment is a significant element of the government's thrust towards developing a robust housing policy while providing adequate housing solutions. We get more from Simone Absalom.
The creation of a viable rental industry serves as a significant transition and option for persons to access safe, legal, and affordable housing. That is a very important element of our housing policy, and it also is a critical feature of our Vision 2030, the National Development Plan for the country.
Housing Minister Pernell Charles Jr. He says in amending the Rent Restriction Act, the government is seeking to update and strengthen outdated provisions.
And to introduce new provisions that will allow for us to better manage the relationship between landlords and tenants and to create a very clear and cogent legal framework for the operation of the rental industry in Jamaica.
The Rent Restriction Act was first passed in 1944 and marked the birth of the Rent Assessment Board. Since then, there have been 11 amendments, the last being done 37 years ago in 1983.
So without a doubt, there is a very critical need for us to have updating and reform of that legislation for it to align with the current realities that we face in Jamaica. The amendments that are being proposed in the bill are very practical amendments that are going to deal with issues that landlords and tenants have had, which have been steady disputes, increases in disputes over the years. So many landlords have complained about arrears in rent, unpaid utility bills, damage to their property, the difficulty and the inordinate delay in trying to recover their own possession. Tenants have complained about harassment, landlords coming into their property without notice, the breach of quiet enjoyment, landlords trying to compel them to comply with illegal increases in rent.
Minister Charles Jr. says the issue of security deposits will be dealt with in the bill's amendment.
A contentious issue which is not now dealt with in the current Rent Restriction Act. This bill will provide certainty in the definition of a security deposit as well as the process to collect and apply a security deposit. How can you collect it? When do you collect it? And what are the issues that are to be considered in returning a security deposit?
For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom.